Petri here. Welcome everybody. Thanks so much for coming by. We're actually doing an extreme beginners video here, a tutorial. We're actually going to do a lighthouse. We're going to show you how to do everything, the whole enchilada, soup to nuts, on laying out your design of your painting so that you know exactly where you're going to put your lighthouse in your design, how you're going to design your mountains, your foreground, your sky. We're going to go over the glazing technique, which is the technique we're going to use for this painting. Glazing technique, I covered this 100% on this video, so you know exactly how to do it. So you'll be able to actually complete this painting in about half an hour to an hour. I'm going to try to do this in 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes, although I know already that I went over that time limit. But in any case, you can get this painting done pretty rapidly, pretty quickly. So we're going to do the glazing technique to show you how to do all of the washes on this painting. We're going to show you the drawing in the beginning, how to set your lighthouse just in the right spot you want it to on your paper. And then also too, we're going to describe all the colors we're going to use to do our washes. And you're going to have a wonderful time doing this painting. It's not that difficult. All you got to do is just take your time as you work through this painting on this tutorial, on YouTube here. I'm here every week doing watercolor paintings, whether it's lighthouses, beach scenes, ocean scenes, landscape scenes, figure painting, flowers, still life, you name it, I do it here, everything watercolor. So this is your watercolor channel. If you're interested in watercolors, then just keep coming here. Again, there's the subscribe button down below so you don't lose your spot. You'll always know if you click subscribe. All it does is just let you know when you open up YouTube the next time you come onto YouTube. It'll just say, hey, Chris made a new video, and then you can follow along if you want. You might look at the painting that you see on my channel and say, oh, I'm not too interested in flower paintings too much, but I'm going to do that landscape maybe next week or whatever it is. So you'll have all the videos and you'll see all my videos coming up in your YouTube channel when you go on YouTube. So when you subscribe, all you're going to do is you'll make sure that you'll have all my videos each week coming in, and you can work on the projects you want to work on. And you can, if you're not interested in a certain project one week or whatever, you just skip over it, and you're always remembering to do your practicing with your drawing skills, maybe 10-15 minutes every day. Just do a couple drawings, whatever it is, with a pencil or a pen on some paper, just so you keep your drawing skills going. That's important. That's like practicing scales or chords if you're a musician, or if you're into sports, it's like practicing stretching and calisthenics a little bit, and maybe doing some practice throws, or doing some practice shots, or whatever you have to do to make sure that you're kind of just warming up and doing your basics that you have to do to get good. Okay, so let's get started in just a second here, and we'll start with the drawing, and then after we're done with the drawing, we're going to do the washes of paint, and then we'll finish up with the final details of the lighthouse and some of the other details here, and then we'll be all set, and you'll see how beautiful this will look. So get ready. You're going to have a beautiful painting just about ready to complete. Okay. All right, so we just saw the finished painting, and we're actually going to try to keep this to a 20-minute video tutorial. We're going to call this the 20-minute lighthouse painting. And for the most part, I think in 20 minutes we can get it done. This is an extreme beginners series video. So I welcome everyone, especially if you're just starting out for the first time. And if it's your first time here on my channel, welcome. And thanks so much for coming by. You're at the right place at the right time. We're going to do a beautiful lighthouse here. It's going to only take 15-20 minutes. We're going to use our Extreme Beginners palette, which is an affordable, $10-15 palette. It comes with a brush, just like this, with the yellow paint on the handle. So you already have a palette and a brush. All you need is some watercolor paper. So you can order that too. Online, you can get, some good inexpensive watercolor paper shipped to your house, and you're in business. You're a watercolor artist right from the first day that you make the commitment to just saying, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to learn this. And if you stick here on my channel, you're going to learn all the methods, the techniques that you need for watercolor. I show everything here. I change things up so you learn all different kinds of angles for the medium of watercolor, different methods, techniques, ideas. you're the artist. I let you decide what you're going to do. I don't tell you this is how you have to do it. You decide how you want to take your artwork from here. So this is just a starting point for you. So I always find that my channel really is a platform, a starting point, a jumping off point for watercolor artists or artists in general. You might try out watercolor and you can't stand it and you throw out the window your art supplies, but you know what, you might get into pottery or basket weaving, or you might decide you're going to do sculpture and start doing some sculpture work, or maybe, I don't know, maybe oil painting or acrylic painting or charcoal sketches and things like that. So this is just your start point. So I hope you'll get that from my channel. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to say you're an artist. You want to get into some art. This is watercolors. You can start out here. You might love it and you're going to stick with watercolors. Most of you probably will stick with watercolors, but some of you are going to branch out and do something different. That's fine too. Don't ever feel like you're locked into just one thing. I'm always hoping I can, kind of be a person that, as an artist, I want to try to be encouraging and kind of help you to see that, sometimes, as artists, we try one thing, we don't like it so much, we just don't really get the swing of things, we just don't feel right about it. That's fine. There's so many other artistic pursuits that you can actually take advantage of and do. So by all rights, maybe this is your starting point, and maybe you're going to branch off and do something different in the future. Maybe you're going to take a year off or 2 years off because you have some other stuff you have to take care of in your life, and then you're going to come back to it again. So as many situations out there, I realize that there's so many different, I know you're out there, everyone has a different situation in their life, different things everyone's going through, just enjoy artwork. We're going to enjoy watercolors here on this channel. I do everything watercolors, so we're doing lighthouses, landscapes, seascapes, cityscapes, portrait paintings, figure paintings, flowers. We do everything watercolor here, and I'm hoping you'll subscribe. On the right-hand side down there, on the right-hand side is the subscribe button. I'm hoping you're going to subscribe, so this way you don't lose my channel. I want you to kind of have that little bell that goes off on your YouTube channel when you go onto YouTube, and it'll say, hey, Chris just made a new video, so you can watch it and have a good time with us. Okay, so let's get started. Again, I'm going to use this piece of printer paper just to we're going to do a tic-tac-toe. Let's call this a tic-tac-toe. We're going to take our paper and divide it into a tic-tac-toe. Have you ever played that? Tic-tac-toe game? Right. We have all done that, the tic-tac-toe. So you take your paper, you divide it into thirds, 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3, and 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. And then you have your basic grid like this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to notice that we're going to create our lighthouse painting by using this tic-tac-toe grid. And we're going to say, okay, this is going to be our lighthouse here. It's going to snug up against this first line over here, this first third over here. Okay, then there's a little fence over here like that. And then there's some rocks and cool stuff like that over here that goes along this here. And we have some water over here, water. So we'll do our proverbial water insignia like that. And then there's some hills over here. Let's leave our hills low right there so you feel like you can kind of get into a boat and go like that and go off into the sea. We don't want to block you off and make mountains all the way across here. We want to make sure you can feel like you can go like this and then out into the sea. And what else? Mountains over here, a little bit of hills. Okay, so we're basically just formulating our composition. This is our composition right here. Very simple. There's a door over here on the lighthouse, another light over here, and then another window up here, and then you have your lighthouse here with the railing up here and the catwalk. And then there's the light in here like so, and then you have like that. Okay, so that's our basic design using the tic-tac-toe. 3, 6, 9. 9 squares And now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take our watercolor paper. So now we have our watercolor paper taped down. You can tape around your watercolor paper. You don't have to. I always like to tape my paper down. You don't have to. You can just draw your rectangle just so you kind of know, hey, you know what? This is the space I have to paint within. And that's important. You have to know your space you're painting within, your rectangle. And so if you put that line around, or you put your tape around your paper, you'll just know, okay, I have that much space to work in. Okay, time's ticking. I'm trying to get this done in 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. Again, we're doing thirds, so let's get our thirds. 1/3, 2/3, 2/3, 3/3. Let's say you have a hard time seeing things, in divisions. You might have a problem where you say, Chris, I don't know how to divide my paper like you just did. No problem. You take out a ruler and you say, okay, you could use centimeters, or you can use the American Standard, or you can use centimeters, whatever you want to use. So let's say this is 12 inches. Well, 12 inches is divided into 3 is 4, 8, 12. So that's your thirds, 4, 8, 12. Then you go over here and say, okay, how about over here? This paper is 10 inches. So 10 inches divided by 3. You could shrink this down a little bit and say, okay, let's say 9. 3, 6, 9. 3, 6, 9. 3, 6, 9. There you go. And then if you say, Chris, I can't draw a straight line without a ruler, then use your ruler. And then just do a super light line. Can you see that line I made? You probably can't see it. All right, I'm going to draw it in there. Just because this is a video where I'm trying to make sure I show you what I'm doing here. And then we have this one here. Okay, we can see those are 2 lines there. So we got 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3, the tic-tac-toe. And then here's a third, the top third. And then the bottom 2/3, like that. There we go. Okay, so there we have it. That's our grid. You can, once you get your grid down, you could take an eraser and sort of erase it a little bit. Go around there and just erase it so that it's barely visible. That's a good way of doing it, right? Get it down first on there so you can really see it. Then you erase it and make it really, really super light by erasing it like this. Like that. Okay. Now, you might not... The thing is, you understand, as you're out there and you're drawing and painting with me, you know that I did do that grid. You saw me do that grid. I erased it, for the most part, as best I can, but it's still very visible to me right now. As I'm sitting here at my art table, I can see this light pencil line really clearly. You can't see it too much on the video camera, probably, on the video. But that doesn't matter. You can, at home, do your sketch super light so you barely can see the grid. The reason I did it darker is so you can see how I did it. But when you do your grid, your tic-tac-toe grid here, do it super lightly so you can barely see that line, just enough that you can use it for your design, to design your painting and get your lighthouse and your distant shoreline and your foreground, your rocks and everything like that. You want to get all of that done really successfully in your painting. So if you do this grid super light, not like I did it really dark so you could see it actually on camera, but back in your studio, back at home where you're working, you're not going to do that. You're going to make a super light, barely visible sketch. You're going to barely touch your pencil to the paper when you're using your ruler and you're measuring, barely visible, just so you can see it at home. And that's all you need to do. And then that's all. And then now we're going to just start out and we're going to say, okay, now we've got this. We're going to come across here. We're going to go right on that line of the first third up. And we're going to do our lighthouse. So we're going to come up like this with our lighthouse. And we're going to come over here like this, like that. And then there's the top portion of the lighthouse where there's a bit of a walkway. And then right from there, it starts to go down. And there's some rocks there's some rocks here, and it goes down like so. And that's the coastal area where the water is, the shoreline. Okay, so now we have our lighthouse here. So let's get started with our lighthouse here. So we got our basic shape. Well, you know, I can say to myself, maybe I can do this a little better. Maybe I didn't do this quite as, maybe it needs to be tapered out a little more on both sides. I might have made it a little bit too thin. So I'm just going to taper it out a little more. You can do that. You can adjust as you go. Okay, so that is pretty good. And then let's get the top catwalk done. So that's the catwalk there. And that's the catwalk there. And then let's do the center point of the lighthouse, which is about the same, a third, a third, and a third. So the middle third is the actual light itself. And that's like so. So you have the light here, like that. And then we have the actual roof of the lighthouse right there. And we have the top of the lighthouse there. And the lightning rod up top on that point. And there's some window panes like that. There's some railings here we're going to do just quickly. And then there's the distant railings over here. They go around this way. So you can kind of see I'm just formulating my sketch here. And here we have some supports for the catwalk underneath. Like that. Just some lines here. Just remember, we're doing lines and interesting things. What else do we have? We have some windows. Let's do our windows here. All right, so we have our window here. It's an arched window with a bit of a rooftop, a little bit of a roof over the top of that. Then over here we have another one like that. Like so. And then we have a door at the bottom with an eyebrow arch. So it's not quite a real half moon or half circle arch, but an eyebrow arch like that. And I think that's good. We have that there. And then maybe there's some railings here. Okay, I'm trying to get this done in 20 minutes so you can see that you can do a lighthouse painting in 20 minutes or less. So we got our lighthouse drawing done. We're all set. We have some distant shoreline over here. Let's do that. It goes over here. The water is about a little bit below. So let's use our ruler. The water line is about here. So we can get our light pencil sketch just to get our level line of the shoreline across the way. I'm going to do, the shoreline is going to end here. The distant shoreline and hills that go down into the water are here. And then this is the open ocean over here. So that's what we have here. So you have the ocean over here, the distant ocean here. We have the lighthouse here. We have the hills behind, trailing down into the coastal area. Then we have our foreground. We have the rocks and the area of the foundation of where this lighthouse is, and the rocks here in the foreground. And then we have our sky in the background. So we have everything we need to do our 15 or 20 minute lighthouse. It's already 15 minutes. I apologize. But we are going to get this done in, all right, a half an hour. It's going to take me another 15 minutes to paint this. I'm going to try to go real fast in the next 15 minutes to try to get this done. It's always, you know, a labor of love here. I can't always do a 5-minute or 10-minute painting. I know there's some channels out there, they do those really fast ones where they just hit the fast forward button and you just see it happen in like 2 minutes, the whole painting. but you're studying with me, so I know you're studying here, you're learning, you're actually taking an art lesson here with me, a painting lesson. So therefore I'm not going to, do those quick paintings. I'm going to take my time as much as possible, but I don't want to take hours of your time on this one. I'm trying to impress upon you that I can give you the whole enchilada. I can give you the oodles of information that'll get you excited so you can get a painting done real quick. Okay? So we're going to do this in the glazing technique. So the first thing we're going to do is once we come back, we're going to just do the whole light wash of paint over the whole painting, let it dry, and then we'll come back and do our darker washes over the top. I hope you'll enjoy this. I'm going to do a little bit of a shadow line here. This is where the light is. The light is coming from over here. So my light insignia is here, sort of coming from the right of the picture this way, for the most part, but kind of like high up in the sky. So, bear with me here. The light, though, is somewhat coming from this direction. So I'm making my shadow line here on the lighthouse. And then from there, everything else is going to work out fine. We're going to get started. We're going to spritz our paints first. I'm going to take a quick break for 5 or 10 minutes. Relax, sit down. I stand up when I'm painting right now at my YouTube studio that I have here. So I use my spritzer bottle. And then if you need to refill your spritzer bottle, I always have my spritzer bottle. Take my spritzer bottle, and then I just take my orange juice container with water, and then I just take that and I fill up my spritzer bottle like so. And then we have it. Spritzer bottle filled up again. Okay. All right, we'll be right back and we'll start our painting, and you're going to see how fun this is. We're really going to go quick now. We're going to get this painting done quickly, okay? I promise. Okay, be right back. Okay, we're back again. Just to recap, in case you came back a second day, you watched the video for a few minutes and you came back and you said, oh, I'm going to start this video again. I'm not sure. Everyone's different. Maybe some of you watch my videos and you don't watch them all the way through. You maybe watch a little bit and then you come back the next day, whatever. Just to recap, we started out with a tic-tac-toe grid, basically nine squares broken up into thirds, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. That gives us a tic-tac-toe grid, basically. And then we said we're going to bank up our lighthouse right up against this line here, and then the rest flows from there. The actual base of the lighthouse is right along this line here, the first third line, and then our hills are back here. They kind of flow down and meet up with the same line there, and there's the distant ocean, so we have that freedom to flow out there if we have a boat. Or if we feel like we're in a boat right now and we're kind of boating, and maybe we're in a sailboat and we're going to sail out into the sea. We have that sea area here, the distant sea there, so we can do that. We have the whole sky area, and again we put our lighthouse again banked up right up against this line here. So that's what we kind of like planned out from the start. Then we did the same thing here. We made a tic-tac-toe grid, and we just did it super light, although I did do it dark so you can see it on camera. But basically, you wouldn't want to do these tic-tac-toe grids on your watercolor paper, barely visible, just so you can barely see it for yourself, so you can know where you're going to put everything. That's the basic idea of it. You would not want your tic-tac-toe grid on your watercolor paper to be visible at all. So however you have to do that, maybe you're going to use some plastic, Mylar. I have Mylar that I use a lot with my art. Well, I use it sometimes, not really all that often, but if you use Mylar, it's basically clear plastic. You can tape it down over top, put a grid on it with some magic markers, Sharpie markers, and then you can lift it up and drop it down and get your marks as you go. You can draw and kind of make some hash marks to get where you want to be. The thing is, you're the artist. You have to decide how much invested are you in your artwork, in creating your paintings. Are you going to create mostly compositions? I mean, if you're just starting out, this is Extreme Beginner Series. If you're just starting out, you don't mind. You can have grid lines. That's okay. No one's going to worry about that. You know, you're not selling your painting or putting it into a gallery, but maybe in a year or two from now, you might be putting your paintings in a gallery or putting them up for sale online, or whatever, you know, or maybe selling them out on the, you know, out in your local community, whatever it is. So you just have to remember, for a really beautiful finished painting that you're going to maybe put into a competition or a gallery, or you're going to sell maybe locally in your local market where you are, you don't want to see grid marks on your painting whatsoever at all. So that's where you might have to go to some plastic, some Mylar, Duralar, Mylar plastic. I have videos on that. You can look that up. You know, using Duralar or using Mylar for your paintings. You can see how I use that. I have a number of videos you can look up online on YouTube. So, all right, let's get started here. We're going to start out, we're doing the glazing technique. Now, the glazing technique, many of you are, if you're just new here, welcome again. You may never have painted before, and you've never drawn a painting, or you've drawn a lighthouse and some things like this. No worries. Basic thing is, when we first start out, we're going to ask ourselves, are we going to do the glazing technique? And if yes, then that means we're going to do a light, super light wash of color over the whole painting first. Let that dry 100%, then come back and do the darker colors over the top, the darker tones over the top. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to do the lights first, whole paper, we'll do a beautiful wash over the whole paper, then we'll let it dry 100%, and then we'll come back. How you let it dry is up to you. You can use a blow dryer, hair dryer, and dry it once you're done painting it, or you can let it dry naturally for like 2 or 3 hours. It's up to you. So the first thing I'm going to do is let's mix our colors. We want to know what colors are we going to use. Let's get our sky color first. Blue. Let's get our blue in there. Some kind of like a cerulean blue here. Maybe we add a little bit of brown to that. So we have a cerulean blue. Then we have like a French ultramarine blue here. Let's add a little bit of green, some viridian green. That's like a viridian green. So we're kind of mixing up our blues here. We want to have a little bit of orange. Okay, so that's going to be our sky color that we're going to wash the whole painting with. So the first thing I do is I make sure I have clean, fresh water. I don't want to use muddy looking water. So when you're in your studio or at home, always change your water so that you have fresh, clean water when you start. You can kind of see that. I'll do it a little bit better. I'll make this. Here's the container that I use also. These are Holbein containers. They're great. They're collapsible. You can squish them down and make them real small and throw them in a backpack and go out and do a little bit of painting around your neighborhood or your backyard. But this is clean, fresh water, as you can see. You want it to be crystal clear, clean water. Then what you do is you say, all right, we're going to flood this paper with our first wash of color, and it's watercolor. Throw it on there. Take your paper and just take your flat brush. We have our Princeton Art and Brush Company 5/8 inch flat brush, and these come in a set. You can get all 5. There's like more brushes than this, but you can get a set of 5 brushes. These are 3 of the 5 for like, you know, maybe $5 or $6, and that's why, you know, we're thinking of being an extreme beginner. You're not going out and spending hundreds of dollars on art supplies when you first start watercolor. Again, you might eventually decide you want to do sculpture or acrylic painting or oil painting or basket weaving or something else that you want to do. But you're starting out as an artist, and so you want to be frugal and, you know, watch your pennies here, and that's what I do too. So I have these are, again, Princeton Art and Brush Company. These are flat brushes and round brushes. You can buy in a package of 5 or 6, all in one package, for like $5 or $6, maybe $10. These are synthetic brushes. They're great. And let's keep going here. So I'm just taking some fresh, clean water and putting it on the paper so that I wet the paper, because I want to get beautiful sky washes on here. And then the thing is, you don't want to do the whole paper with water, just, you know, here and there, but especially up at the top, all the way across the top. You want to add tons of water up all the way on the top, But then as you work downwards, you just here and there. You don't want to go and flood the whole paper with fresh clean water. You just want to add fresh clean water here and there. And the same thing down here. I'm just adding here and there. I'm not doing everywhere. Just to dampen the paper here and there. And that's going to give us the effect we want. Okay, and then I just take some water, dip it in the water bucket, and just splash it on like that. Some water. Having fun here. And then we're going to go in and get our water. And that's how you see it works. You're letting the watercolor do the work. Just pick up the paint and put it on there. Like that. You can see that. And that's why I'm trying to get this done in like 15 or 20 minutes. So you can kind of see that you can do this quickly and you don't have to worry. The only thing is you want to make sure your lighthouse doesn't get... I want to make sure I keep my lighthouse white. There we go. But there is a shadow across the lighthouse here. So make sure you just sort of try to keep that one area there. You just want to keep that sort of, that shadow. It's kind of like an arch shape like this. You can kind of see that. You want to keep that like undisturbed. You don't want paint flowing in that area. But other than that, everything else. And then you add some more darker paint, brown, and there you go. Try to mix things up a little bit. And again, get some of that blue wash on the rocks down here, not everywhere, just here and there. Splash some paint on there, water there, and that's it. You're good. See that? I'm not fussing too much. I'm just getting the wash on the paper. That's it. That's the beauty of watercolor. You're letting the water do the work for you and the paint. So the water and the paint do 60% of the work. You do only 40% of the work. You're letting the paint and the water do the work. There we go. We left the white lighthouse here, bright white. It's a sunny day, and we kind of left that bright white, and the rest is going to be kind of like that bluish green wash all the way through, and then we're going to do the darker darks as we go. But let's just take a break now. Let this dry 100%. Again, you can use a hair dryer to dry this off, or you can let it dry naturally. It's up to you. Okay, so we're going to come back and do the darker washes over the top of this. And you're going to see that it's going to be a beautiful, wonderful looking painting when we're done. We're letting the watercolor do the work, and we're not fussing too much and fiddling and fussing over this thing for hours. We're just going to, boom, we got it done. We got the sketch done first with our tic-tac-toe grid. Perfect. Then we wet the paper with fresh, clean water. We did not use muddy water that was left over from last week. As you can imagine, you can't do that. You have to get fresh, clean water, wet the paper first, here and there, everywhere. Make sure paints first and throw it on there. Let it all do its own thing. Watercolor loves to do what it does on its own. You don't have to do too much to it. And then once that's done and it dries 100%, whether you use a hair dryer or you let it dry a couple hours naturally, that's up to you. If you're doing a finished painting for a customer or a gallery or a competition, you'll let it dry naturally for a few hours or so. If you're just doing a composition and having fun with this and creating, practicing up on your watercolors, then all you have to do is use the hair dryer and just dry it up, and then in 10 minutes you're back in business and you're working again. Okay, so I'm going to do a quick hair dryer and dry this off fast, off camera, and then I'll come right back. All right, so we're getting back to our painting here, and as we said, we're doing the glazing technique right now. We do the alla prima technique at times, and we do the glazing technique at times On my channel, you'll notice I use those two techniques most often, and I combine them, or use them in combination throughout a painting sometimes. So maybe sometimes I'm really using both, but you really want to learn both the glazing and the alla prima technique separately from one another when you're painting and practicing. So this way you sort of have a good handle on how each of those methods and techniques work. And so here we're doing the glazing technique, which is light wash over the whole paper first, let it dry 100%, whether by blow drying it or if you let it dry a couple hours naturally, either way works fine. And then we're going to go back and do our second glazing now. So let's get started with our second glazing. We're going to try to do this video in 15-20 minutes. I know it's probably going to be a little more than that, but I'm going to use some brown and some blue and some purple. So I'm going to just kind of try to mix up some different washes here. So maybe a touch of black here. So we have some black, and now we're going to do the basic portions of the lighthouse with our Simply Simmons. And you know what? I think I'm going to use my Prang Oval 16. So we're using the Prang Oval 16 watercolor set. I always try to mention that in extreme beginners we use the Prang Oval 16 watercolor set. It's semi-moist watercolors. This set is you can find this anywhere online, in stores, your local stores, hobby stores. This is a very popular set you see all the time, palette with colors and paints. And it comes with a brush, this brush right here. So that's what we're doing. We're using this set, the Prang Oval 16. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this brush because it's pretty, you can see it's pretty pointy. It's a good brush, and it actually is synthetic, so it doesn't hold too much water, which might sometimes cause a problem if you're a newer artist. You're better off using actually beginners brushes, which are synthetic when you first start, because they hold less water. And you can kind of see now I'm just going to do I'm going to just keep going back in here and getting my black mixture, which is a little bit of this, tiny bit of this black, and then I mix some purple in there. Use this to dry off your brush a little bit so you don't have too much water on your brush. You don't want to flood out your paper with too much. So that's the key. If you want to get fine lines like this, if you want to get fine lines on your painting, you dip your brush in like this, and then you dry it off on a tissue or a paper towel so that you don't have too much water on your brush. And then you can go in and get your fine lines, and you won't have a problem. See how I'm getting those really fine lines? That's all it is. That's the only thing you have to remember. If you have to write that down or really think about it and say, ooh, I got to remember that, and however you remember that, maybe you put a Post-it on your wall or your desk or something like that. Or if you have to do something different, maybe you can do whatever you need to do. But that's a good thing to remember, is if you add that little bit of tissue, dry off a little bit of the paint, and this way you can get those nice crisp fine lines like so, like that. And this here's the catwalk, and this goes across like that. And you don't have to do everything perfect. You can kind of let things happen as they go. There we go. So we're good. We have everything done on the top of the lighthouse. We did the railings around the lighthouse, the light itself, the light, and then we had the supports here, these metal supports that support the catwalk that goes around the top of the lighthouse. And now we're going to do just a couple quick details for the lights, or for the windows on the lighthouse. So here's the windows, like that. Like that, and then there's the door here. This door is a little bit more of a bluish color, so I'm going to take this and make a blue, like that. So it's kind of like a bluish green. There we go. And we are really getting there now. So again, let's get some more black and a little bit of blue and purplish colors. You know, we had those little mixes of colors. Dry off your brush. Really good on this, because you want to make these rings, which are actually the metal steel separation points between when they create these lighthouses, they build them in sections. So they have giant steel panels that they have already pre-made that are round in shape, and they stack them and weld them one on top of the other to go around the top of this lighthouse. So here we're going to go around there and say, okay, that's the first panel, and then the second panel is over here. For the most part, it's somewhat like that. You don't have to do the whole thing. Skip some spots. Don't make one big line, like right. Kind of do this a little bit at a time, a little bit here, a little there, and then up here there's another one, and there's another one up here, like that. And there, so we have the joints between these large steel panels that they circular, basically rings that they make these lighthouses with, and they stack them up on top of each other and weld them one to the next to create that tube, and that's good. And then we have a little more shadow here, so we're going to put some shadow like that on the lighthouse, and some blue like that. Okay, so we did our shadow here underneath. Okay, perfect. Look at that. Now all we have to do is we'll shift gears and use our Simply Simmons number 6 brush, and we're going to start to do our distant shoreline. So we're going to do blues, some greens, browns. We're going to kind of mix up all kinds of colors here. There we go. And there we go. Let's do that. Okay, so we're doing Extreme Beginner Series here. We're not going to try to fuss around for hours. All right? We're going to do this. We're going to sort of get some red and some orange in there too, just to kind of mix up the colors. And we're going to make our distant hills like this. There we go. Okay, and these are a little darker over here because they're closer to us. And then as we go into the distance over here, like that, it gets a little lighter over here. We could just kind of, there we go. Now we're going to, again, let's get some darker darks. We got our large flat brush that we started with that we did the whole sky wash and the whole wash across the whole picture. Now we're going to do this. We're going to go in and get some more burnt umber and a little bit of black, burnt umber. We're going to try to make some darks, some yellows here, some greens, some oranges. Some orange. There we go, some orange. I see some orange here. This is like the sand up top here. Okay, and then there's a little bit of so I'm just trying to get some interesting shapes here where the rocks are. Then there's some darker shapes here. And these are the rocks along the coast here. So you can kind of see that. I'm just doing the square brush. I'm going to do some splashing. Rocks. There's rocks down here. Splashing. Rocks. Okay. So I do some splashing there. Some more darks. You can do this as free and as fun as you want to. You don't feel like you have to do everything the way I'm doing it. I'm just trying to get this as close to what I'm. These are rocks down here, so it's dark down here, brown, red too. I'm going to make it as dark as possible along the bottom. That kind of gives us like a dark base to the painting, like this. Like that. And then we can do this and kind of like that. Splashes again. I'm doing some more splashing. Like that. Maybe a little more orangey, kind of a put in some red and orange colors here to make it look interesting. Like that. And then in the distance, these are more colors that are grayer, not as exciting and vibrant. Okay. And I think that looks really good. I think this might be good. We might add a little bit of, I might clear out a little bit of paper, clear out a little bit of a palette space here so I can get in some of that kind of turquoisey green, viridian green kind of look, and then maybe pick up a little bit of other colors to gray it up a little bit like that. And then maybe we'll do some of this just super light along here, just to do this. Like that, just to have a little bit of some like that. Maybe you mix in some of that color too, like that. Like that. But this is really a fun type of painting to do. And you're an extreme beginner, you're just going to be having fun with this and putting in tons of colors and like that. You're remembering to put the most darker colors at the bottom of your painting, and they get a little lighter as you go up into the painting. So darker, more vibrant colors closer in the foreground, and then as you go back into the painting and you start creating your distant shorelines, those colors are more grayed down a little bit. You don't want to have too much vibrant colors in there. You see how I did that? That's more of grayish, grayish green, blues. A little bit of reds in there too to kind of give it some warmth. Warm and cool everywhere. Try to always make your paintings warm and cool with your colors. You don't want to just go with like one color. And you also don't want to go with one temperature. You want to go with warm and cool temperature throughout your painting. So I think we've accomplished it. Okay, we took a little bit longer than 15 minutes or 20 minutes. But to do a halfway decent painting, we need, probably half an hour. So I think we did this in about a half an hour. And then if you want to do a couple little extra touches of things, you dry off your brush on the paper towel or tissue. Maybe you put a little darker tone there under the doorway there, under the top of the... And then maybe there's a little bit of shadowing under here, the sills of the windows. Other than that, I think we have everything completed. One more thing. Dry off the... We just want to have these quick. These are the... These are the fencing that goes along here toward the lighthouse door, like that. So we just put that in. And if you want to straighten out that shoreline a little bit, like that, you can do that too. You can also dry off your brush, fill it up with some water, some darks, maybe some blue and some green, like that. Dry off the brush, and then maybe we're going to do some blue and green over here in the distance. If that doesn't work out good and you say, oh wow, that's a problem, I just smudged something, take your watercolor brush, put lots of water on there, like that. Take lots of water, grab a brand new tissue like this, and then just swipe it off. And that's all you have to do. Then you can go back in again, like that. And if worse comes to worse, you can always take your painting and just do something different. Take a mat and go over that. If you have a problem on one side of your painting where you made a mistake, you smudged something, you dropped some paint on there, whatever, you can just take it and say, all right, no problem. I'll make this a lighthouse painting like so, and just put it like that. And there you have it. Or you might be fine. You might say, you know what, I'm going to do this here like so. And you could take even a larger mat and say, how problematic is that? Not really too problematic. Look at that. Like that. Just have to raise this up a little bit to get the top of that in there, like so. So always remember, when you're thinking of your paintings, remember, have some mats on hand so that you can... Hey everybody, just a quick informational. I'm really excited. I've been invited to the Thousand Island Arts Center to teach a workshop this summer. It's August 9th, 10th, and 11th, which is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And it's a daytime workshop, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're going to have an absolutely fantastic time. I'm going to put up the itinerary in just a second too as well, but I wanted you to have the Thousand Island Arts Center phone number so you can call to register, or you can also register online. That's up to you. Their phone number is 315-686-4123. Again, their phone number is 315-686-4123. Or you can also register and look up all the information online at TIARTSCENTER.org. Again, their website is TIARTSCENTER.org. I'll put the itinerary up here so you can just, I'll scroll it. I'm not going to read it. I'll just kind of scroll it up so you can kind of see the class description. And you can look this up online too. I encourage everybody to look for the brochure. If you go to the website, you'll see a brochure button. You click on that brochure button, you'll see my course, as well as other courses if you can't happen to make these dates, but you still want to take a watercolor class or watercolor course and workshop. And there's also an online course for watercolor artists. So if you're interested in doing online watercolor courses, they have those as well. That's something this is a great resource, everyone, for your watercolor art. I know some of you mentioned that you wanted to inquire about online art and watercolor painting classes. I'm not doing them right now. I'm really looking forward to maybe in the future doing some online courses, but right now I'm just not geared up for that right now. So they have them though for those that want to do online courses. But just a great resource, and beautiful historic area, beautiful scenery, water and boats everywhere, beautiful architecture, shopping. There's museums. So that's the itinerary. And I hope you'll all make it out to the workshop. And again, we're going to have a great time, tons of fun drawing and painting in watercolor. So I hope to see you there. And let's get back to our watercolor painting. Drop them over the top of your painting. If you have a problem on one side of your painting, no worries. You just drop a mat over it. You can, like that. You could change your painting by just cropping things out. This is much like a photographer does. When a photographer takes pictures, sometimes they crop things in. They start out with a larger picture and they say, you know what, I'm going to crop this in and kind of zoom into the picture. And you can do that, just like that. So I hope you had a lot of fun. And this is, again, the Extreme Beginner Series. So we're learning lots of new things here. And if you're just brand new here, again, please always remember, feel free to subscribe on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. There's the subscribe button. If you hit subscribe, all it does is just the next time you open up YouTube, when you're going on YouTube to watch videos, you'll just see my video on your screen, and it'll say, hey, Chris made a new video. Chris Petri made a new video this week, or this last Wednesday or last Friday, whatever it is. You'll just see that my new paintings will be in your YouTube channel when you open it up, so that you can kind of know, hey, Chris is making a new video. This way you can follow along with us, keep working with us, and that's the main thing. Have fun, enjoy, keep working with us here each week. You'll get better and better with your watercolor paintings, I guarantee it. And we're having fun all the time, and I just thank everybody for stopping by and watching this video, as well as those of you that keep coming back week after week and month after month and year after year. I truly thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the beautiful comments you make in the comment section each week, and also too for sending me your paintings via email. And look forward to painting with everyone soon. Next week we're going to kind of keep this painting for this week, and then next week we're going to do something different, maybe flowers or figure painting or a landscape painting, whatever it is. We're changing our subject matter constantly here on my channel, so you're not going to see me just do one thing over and over and over again. I'm doing all subject matters and everything in watercolor, so you can kind of get the whole enchilada of information on watercolor and painting, all of the different subject matter that we do. So I'm so glad you're here. Thanks again. Pleasure being with you and painting with you each week. We'll see you on the next video. Okay, see you soon. Bye-bye.